For centuries, knowledge has been hidden in plain sight across the sands of time. Whispers of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and forbidden histories have been erased or concealed. What if the truth was never lost, but hidden? Welcome to Eye of Ancient Mysteries, where the past speaks and the future listens. Sit back, open your mind, and prepare to uncover the untold secrets of our world. Let the journey begin now. The pioneer, he had a magnificent heart, elastic muscles, and an enduring body. His eyes were sharper than a hawk's, his mind more flexible than the string of an aboriginal bow. He knew everything and could do anything. They called him Din, a name known across half the planets of the Lion's Leap system. Pilots and settlers, natives and robots, even the children of all intelligent and unintelligent species had heard of him. Din walked 100 meters ahead of the others. This world was familiar to him, yet he had no right to take risks. One could never predict every danger, and protocol required him to act as if he were stepping onto the planet for the first time. He imagined his trainees trailing behind him, huddled together, shoulder to shoulder, eyes wide with anticipation, flinching at every snapping twig and every call of an unknown bird. But he was wrong. Not one of the 10 trainees was afraid. They followed him with confidence, for his name was already legend, even on Earth, though Earth was far from the Lion's Leap system. Din knew no fear. He moved through the jungle with the silent grace of a cat, waded through rivers and swamps, climbed hills and mountains, always the first to venture where loud and clumsy machines were useless. He was the first human that the inhabitants of new planets would see, and since they would judge all of humanity by him, he could be nothing less than the embodiment of strength and nobility, agility and intelligence. He was the perfect pioneer, and now he was expected to train others to be like him. The era of the great galactic migration had begun. Humanity was recklessly rushing into unknown worlds, and pioneers had become the most sought after people. Only the bravest and most resilient were chosen for the task. They were trained meticulously, conditioned to survive in any environment. They needed patience and calculated minds. Their imagination and logic were sharpened. They were taught to think and react instantly, to establish understanding with the inhabitants of new worlds in the shortest time possible. And finally, they were sent for 2 months of field training, not on a simulation ground, but on a newly explored planet, under the guidance of an experienced pioneer. Din found this work tiresome. The days dragged on in monotonous marches through familiar terrain among plants, beasts, and birds he had already seen before. He was bored. He longed to set foot on an unknown world again. But he said nothing to the trainees. He simply led the column forward in silence. Din lifted his head, squinting against the intense glow of Lion 17, shielding his forehead with his palm. The star was approaching its zenith. It was time to rest. He glanced around. A rocky, barren patch of land lay nearby. He waited for the group to catch up and led them there. 20-minute break. Have a light meal, he announced. The trainees remained standing. "What's wrong?" Din asked. "Wouldn't it be better to sit on the grass? There's a nice, fresh patch over there." Din didn't even turn his head. "Are you sure," he asked, "that it's grass?" The trainee stretched out his hand, but his companions nudged him, and he mumbled awkwardly, "The resemblance is so strong that, sorry, Commander. I know the protocol, but logic, well, logic is stronger than any rule." "What do you mean?" "You've been here before. You've sat on these green blades that look exactly like grass. That means it's safe. This planet, in one way or another, is already known. But not to you. You only set foot here yesterday. Don't forget that." He had told them the same thing an hour ago, and the day before, and to the previous group, and the one before that. How long would he have to keep repeating it? Was this really the role of a pioneer? Reluctantly, the trainees sat down and opened their bags, pulling out their rations. Some crouched instead of sitting. Sharp stones dug into their legs. Watching them shift uncomfortably, Din regretted leading them here. If he were alone, he wouldn't have given it a second thought. Damn these stones, their edges were sharp as knives. They chewed in silence. In the still midday air, the treetops pulsed gently. The birds had hidden from the heat and the suffocating atmosphere. Not a single creature stirred, and then, suddenly, something rustled. They all put down their food and turned at the same moment. From the underbrush, a round yellow muzzle peeked out, eyes filled with curiosity. Din recognized the creature immediately. It was a scavenger. He had named it that because it would eat anything. It feasted on carrion, scoured the remains of the pioneers' meals, and once had even managed to steal his entire food supply. The scavenger sniffed the air and trotted toward the group on its short legs. It stopped just a short leap away, rose onto its hind legs, and twitched its round snout comically. One of the trainees reached out a hand. "Don't touch it," Din whispered. "And don't give it any food." The trainee who was about to throw a piece of meat hesitated and pulled back his hand. "Will we poison it?" "No, damn it." Din sighed. "Nothing will happen to it. It eats everything. I know that. You don't know it yet. You have to figure it out yourselves. And please don't ask me how." "Look!" Everyone forgot about the scavenger and turned their gaze upward. A blue long-winged bird was circling above the grove. Against the bright, cloudless sky, they could clearly see the outline of its long body, curved beak, and wide tail. Suddenly, something strange happened to the bird. Its wings seemed to disappear. A blink, and they reappeared, as if its body had absorbed them and then expelled them again with a swift, imperceptible motion. One of the trainees raised his rifle and took aim. "Don't shoot!" Din shouted. The trainee lowered his rifle. "I was just joking," he said. "A hunter's instinct. And with such a good target, how can you resist? Don't shoot, even as a joke." "Never!" Din fastened his bag, carefully gathered the food scraps, and emptied them into the portable disinfecting recycler attached to his belt. The trainees followed his example. "Commander," someone asked, "have you never fired a shot? Not even as a joke?" Din frowned. "Not once. I am the best marksman in the Lion's Leap system. But when I'm working, I've never had to fire. You all know the rule. Shooting is only allowed in self-defense, if an attack is unavoidable, and if the energy and shielding systems of the surveyor fail. Someone like you shouldn't be a slave to the rules. Surely for your own pleasure, at least once." "No," Din exclaimed, irritated. "You don't shoot in an unknown world. A single joke like that can destroy 5 days of work in such a way that you won't be able to rebuild trust in 5 years. Trust? Oh! Are you saying there are intelligent beings on every planet? That question is meaningless. It's based on our limited human perspective. We still don't know what intelligence looks like beyond Earth, or what forms it can take. It's entirely possible that intelligence, like individual faces or planets, is unique in the vast cosmos, preventing us from encountering 2 identical instances. That's why we struggle to recognize it. That's why we must approach every bush, every bird, every animal, every living thing, as if it were intelligent and equal to us at the very least. Intelligence varies, yes, but feelings are the same throughout the universe. A surveyor cannot afford reckless behavior." Din adjusted his bag. "What a shame," someone sighed. "Not even one little joke. What a shame." "Wait here for me," Din said. "I'll be right back." He was the perfect surveyor. He had a magnificent heart, flexible muscles, and an enduring body. His eyes were sharper than a hawk's, his mind more agile than an aboriginal bowstring. He knew everything and could do anything. And most importantly, he never thought about it. It was simply his state of being, his essence. But now, the bowstring trembled nervously, as if held by an unsteady, uncertain hand. What did that young pup say? A joke. Yeah, he just wants a little vacation stroll. Din stumbled and barely held back a curse. He had become careless, momentarily losing control of himself and his surroundings. That had never happened before. The terrain was rocky and uneven, eroded over time. Din sat down and tightened the straps on his surveyor boots. He pressed his thumbs against the reinforced toes and felt the soft hiss as compressed air filled the hollow soles. A joke. What did these kids know? As if he didn't want to shoot too. As if the best marksman in the entire Lion's Leap system could easily suppress the desire, the most natural human urge, to confirm his thoughts with action and enjoy the satisfaction it brings. A joke. He took off his rifle, rested it on his knees, and lightly ran his fingers over the cool metal. The midday heat had warmed it. Din flinched, remembering why he had walked ahead, leaving them to wait. Somewhere around here was the unexplained reflection phenomenon. He wanted to see it one more time before the trainees did. He had recorded it in his report under unidentified phenomena. At first, it had seemed simple, just an optical illusion like the mirages in Earth's deserts, and Earth had long ago had deserts. Some kind of light refraction trick, But Din knew that obvious did not mean certain. Let the specialists figure it out. He wasn't about to take that responsibility. He suspected something else. Something strange, unknown even to a surveyor like him. The thought had crossed his mind that this might be some kind of mirrored world, that two realities overlapped here, one reflecting the other like a mold and its cast. The idea seemed absurd, and he had forced himself to forget it. But now it surfaced again. Din stood up, stretched his legs, and was pleased to find that he no longer felt the rough ground beneath him. The air, pumped soles of his surveyor boots were brilliantly designed. He had experienced this sensation 1,000 times before, yet it always felt fresh, like the first time. That feeling extended to other things too. Objects, animals, plants, the wind, the stars. Everything around him, everything in his path. He never even thought about how much his childlike curiosity helped make him a perfect surveyor. Only these trainees irritated him. He was sick of them. They wanted to joke around. They still didn't understand the full weight of human responsibility toward an alien world. They probably laughed at him behind his back, thinking he was a rule-obsessed bore with the dull imagination of an ancient computer. Oh, if only I could get them alone somewhere else, he thought. I'd show them a joke, a grand, dizzying prank. The reflection appeared suddenly and instantly. A barren, rocky surface, heaps of moraines, a land wrinkled by erosion, sparse low shrubs, and in the distance the dark silhouette of a grove. Din knew that every stone, every leaf, every grain of dust there had its counterpart on this side. The entire scene was a mirror image of the world he was standing in, and directly in front of him, at the exact same spot, stood another Din, a man with a magnificent heart, elastic muscles, and an enduring body. His eyes were sharper than a hawk's, his mind more flexible than the string of an aboriginal bow. A perfect assimilator who knew everything and could do anything. Din shook his head. Nonsense. This was nothing but an insubstantial reflection, a trick of the light. The figure mimicked his movement exactly. Instinctively, Din raised his hand. The other Din raised his hand as well. In his palm, he was holding a rifle. The assimilator looked down at himself and froze in surprise. Why had he lowered his weapon? Behind him, from the place where he had left the trainees, a burst of laughter rang out. The sound pierced his heart like a sting. Something snapped in his consciousness. A flood of memories rushed through his mind. In a single moment, he relived everything, the unfamiliar planets, the hardships, the patient search, and he realized that all these months, all these years, he had been suppressing something within himself. Damn it, didn't he have the right, just once, to break the rules, to allow himself a single, fleeting moment of indulgence? Why not? It was so simple. No one had ever forbidden him from making a fool of himself. This was, of course, just a trick of the light, a mirage. Behind the invisible mirror, he knew, for he had been there. There was nothing but rocks, an endless wasteland. He knew this world. He had explored and studied it. He was certain that he would harm no one, that he would frighten no one. Din braced the rifle against his shoulder and took aim at the other Din. The other Din took aim as well. A shot rang out. The bowstring snapped. "Commander! Commandeer!" The sound of hurried footsteps echoed, 10 pairs of boots pounding the rocky ground. 10 faces leaned over the assimilator's lifeless body. "He's dead. How long will it take to call the rescue service and transport him back to base? 2, maybe 3 hours? At best. If nothing else goes wrong, we'll make it. He has to survive. He will survive. 3 hours is nothing for the new resurrection units. The regeneration? Touch the barrel." Unbelievable. Din fired his weapon. "But we only heard 1 shot." The trainees exchanged bewildered glances. 100, maybe 200 meters away, 10 figures stood motionless. The trainees raised their hands in greeting, and because they were still holding their rifles, it seemed, for a moment, as if those on the other side were aiming at them. 10 rifle bolts clicked in unison. "Don't shoot," someone shouted. "This isn't a joker. Even if they kill us, in 3 hours the rescue shuttle will arrive, and they'll bring us back." One by one, they lowered their weapons. The 10 figures on the other side lowered theirs as well. A sigh of relief rippled through the group. Then they noticed the others were also wearing assimilator uniforms. At their feet lay the body of another assimilator. He was dead. Another life needed saving. This simple, absurd thought flashed through all 10 minds at once. But they were no longer trainees. Their practice was over. On this planet, everything was beginning again.